In what ways does your media product use, develop, or change forms and conventions of real media products?
Well, before we started our group production, we as a group discussed what genre we would use in our trailer, and after a few discussions, we all had come to a conclusion and agreed on doing a horror trailer. We studied the conventions of a horror trailer by looking at some real forms of media text, such as prom night and mirrors. The conventions broadly used were pin drop silence, scary and vulnerable characters, dramatic scary soundtrack, dark setting and dark editing that is shown repeatedly only these trailers but
But not only these trailers.
but not only these trailers but also trailers that we looked at. After understanding the conventions, we decided to use the following conventions to our horror trailer.
But before we started to create our storyboard, we first conducted a questionnaire and gained responses from the audience feedback of what they want to see in a horror trailer. And as expected, they all wanted us to follow a typical convention. It came to an understanding that if we tried to challenge these forms or convention in the trailer, they might not be a horror genre, and this might transfer to a hyper genre, which we wouldn't have anticipated. Horror genre have a straightforward convention and only work specifically with this feature in order to be persuasive as a horror. Sticking to a convention, we created in our trailer a vulnerable female character as a protagonist and an antagonist. How do you say that? Antagonist character. A male antagonist have a hidden identity which wouldn't be revealed in the trailer and have to see a whole film to understand. We got this idea from a film Disturbia where it builds anxiety as no one knows what will happen. Stop. Read it from there.
However, we did try to challenge the forms of horror conventions as usually you would see a white slim female acting as the protagonist, as we saw in films like Drag Me to Hell, Scary Movie, and etc. Where in our trailer we decided to use an Asian female, Krishna, not in the way of running away, trying to escape from danger, but actually getting into trouble by enforcing her independence and encouraging to prove her point. You could almost say she's trying to act like a hero. The reasons we challenged the forms of conventions was to create anxiety and be unique and different, that we hope would trigger a large scale of word of mouth to promote our film. We also broke the conventions to reveal an Asian antagonist, me,
Such as lovely Osman here.
yeah, represented as an educated middle-aged man, of course with the use of relevant tone of language and appearance to transmit the stereotypical perception. Our trailer follows similar concepts of hidden identity seen in Prom Night and Disturbia. We had clips of Krishna isolated and alone, looking vulnerable and helpless. This was done to emphasize the scene, which is supported by taglines saying "Don't get caught," keeping our audience engaged. We also used editing effects such as fade to black and straight cuts, which has been used in numerous other horror trailers and is one of the key forms of conventions. Another key convention is to build up the tension and fast-paced editing where we only followed the build-up of tension and suspense, but ignored following convention of fast-paced editing, as we felt that we could challenge this convention and still make our trailer look scary and jaw-breaking horror.
Magazine cover, we decided to use a vulnerable female looking sideways, where antagonist right behind her with a steady look. We studied major magazine companies such as Empire and released as there weren't any example of any horror magazine cover available to us. This could suggest that we were breaking the convention of magazine. As a consequence, you wouldn't normally see two people in the center image for a magazine, so we decided to challenge the form of using the center image as we believe we created something new.
Whereas we stuck to the convention of portraying Krishna and Osman, me, as an actor and actress. Some of the other conventions of a magazine were central image, usually in front of magazine company name, persuasive language, unique selling point that gives referrals to other films. These are main features which a typical magazine cover must contain in order to meet the terms of the conventions. The use of central image of both our antagonists um, and vulnerable characters, which the significance and importance to the film. Also, the persuasive language in the film, in the magazine, is done in order to attract our target audience to read the magazine and to go watch our film Tormented, which again has been demonstrated. For example, our magazine cover uses persuasive language such as Most Anticipated Horror Film of 2012, which makes the reader feel that they must have a look and read the magazine. We also included a tagline saying access all areas, which indicates you have all exclusive access to areas not mentioned in the media forums. We also understood that it attracted a wider market when we did referrals to other films and genres. This shows there's variety in the magazine for all types of audiences, as we referred to movies like horror, action, and hybrid genres. By adding barcodes, issue dates and price were the foremost essential features and gave a sense of realism to the magazine, and in fact by doing so we have achieved this to our best of our capabilities.